I couldn't move my leg without it being like a 10 out of 10 pain unless I was really like on top of my pain meds.
Did you have any hesitancy about putting your name in the leadership group, given that away from footy with your knee, you were obviously going through a fair bit?
I was like, whether I'm out there or not, I'll be doing everything I possibly can this season to make sure that we get to finals.
With your knee, what do you remember of the day that you did it?
Oh, no. Rosie's like, don't do that.
This podcast is brought to you by Woodside Energy, helping young players develop and grow as the official sponsor of the Fremantle Dockers Next Generation Academy. Woodside Energy, supporting local footy.
Hello and welcome back to the Dubya podcast. My name is Jackson Barrett. I'm not Caitlin Bassett.
You are not.
Rosie Deegan sitting across from me. Rosie, we've got a pretty special interview today. I think Caitlin's missed out on one. She's signed up to play for the Perth Demons and we've sent her off to ruck school. So she's missing a few weeks. I'll be looking after the pod. And today we've got the Fremantle captain, Ange Stannett, which was a pretty special chat.
Yeah, she was incredible the way she talked about leadership, and obviously she's torn her ACL. That's something that I've done myself. So hearing her talk about it and the struggles with that was really incredible to hear from like a professional athlete. So it was a really good chat, and we're excited for you guys to hear it.
So Ange did her ACL in May, and then she was named Fremantle captain a few weeks before the season. She's been at every game. She's travelled, and you'll hear a little bit about how that works and how it works within the leadership group. And the Dockers have also locked in finals with their win over GWS on Saturday. So it's a pretty exciting time for the club. And I think this is a really awesome chat. So here it is, Ange Stannett. Hello, Ange. How are you?
I'm well, guys.
Fremantle Dockers captain.
Very well.
It's good to have you in.
Good to be here.
Obviously, hasn't been your season on the field. You did your ACL earlier this year, so you missed out this year. But it's been an interesting one because you've been a captain, so there's been a lot going on. Can you talk to us first about where you're at with your recovery at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. So did my ACL like 9th of May or something like that.
Yeah.
So very early on, which meant I was done before preseason even started. I'm 21 weeks post-op now. I've been in for one more procedure, just a bit of a scope, just to see how we're going. And I was struggling to get a little bit of range there for a while. So after that second procedure, it's been smooth sailing. So fingers crossed it stays that way.
Is the second procedure pretty standard?
Yeah, it was pretty standard for like the metrics that I wasn't meeting. So that was always going to be an option after the amount of work that I had done on my knee. And Pete, my surgeon's been great at communicating that the whole time. So there wasn't too much anxiety around that second one. But it did mean that I was able to like get back to more stuff in the gym, and I've been running now for 4 weeks. So very much just ticking the boxes at the moment.
Returning to running is always that feels like it's the milestone. Did it feel like that for you?
Yes and no. For me personally, like I still have quite a bit of pain while running as well, so that kind of dampened the run effect a little bit.
There.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, yeah, and I'm just, oh, ow.
Yeah,
oh.
yeah. And you know, all eyes are on you as well, so you're like, I'm like trying not to limp or anything.
You're trying to get the gait right,
Yep.
and you're like, nah.
And never felt more uncoordinated in my life as well.
Yeah, I'm a pretty terrible runner anyway, so like if you were to put a camera on me, I don't engage the arms. So if like you're not engaging the arms and you've got a limp.
You're swimming.
Yeah.
You're swimming while you're running.
Like that was my aid. Like I was trying to push the air behind me because my knee wasn't working enough. So I had the limp and I was swimming. Everyone was watching like this.
Should she be doing this?
Is she okay?
Did she tick those boxes?
Does she need to go
Sure.
again for a second? Doesn't seem like anything's prepared here. Yeah.
These two have been comparing knees and pain medication off air, so they're all over it. We've got a couple of fake knees in here, which is awesome.
Yep.
And I think one thing that probably gets forgotten now that you've been playing AFL for quite a while is that you're a very, very good soccer player and play for Perth Glory.
It's very generous of you. Very good.
We look after our guests here. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? Were you juggling both sports? At what point was footy something that you wanted to do?
Yeah, of course. So I grew up playing soccer. There was no footy sort of pathway, and soccer was the one sport that really stuck. Like, as you do when you're little, you play every sport under the sun you can try. And I was playing soccer since I was like 5-6 years old. Kind of worked my way into like the state teams, development teams in WA, and then eventually was fortunate enough to train on and eventually be signed by Perth Glory for a couple of seasons there. I was very young and the list was super competitive, so I only got a handful of games. And it was probably, in my last year at Glory, I wasn't in the right state of mind to be performing my best as well. And I was pretty young, probably didn't handle the pressure and the expectations as well as I do now in this sort of environment. So yeah, as I came into, I think it was 2018, just before 2018 season, I called up the coach and I said, look, I'm going to focus on like my work and my study outside of soccer. And he was all good with that, supportive of that. And that's what I ended up doing. So I stepped away from soccer, not really realising that football was going to be an option eventually. It was more just a matter of like my mental health and trying to find something outside of soccer because I'd been doing that since forever, basically.
So when was the transition into footy? So you obviously stopped soccer, and then footy started coming on the radar, and you're like, could be quite good.
Yeah, well, I remember. So it was. I was still playing soccer when AFLW's first year was, and I remember watching it, being like, "Oh, that looks fun.
Yeah.
Like that looks cool," and also just like such an incredible, exciting new opportunity for girls to be able to play elite sport at an elite level, which was something we hadn't really seen in that capacity. I would say, like even soccer back then. The year that I left, the next season they brought in a minimum wage. So that's when I think it was like 10,000 for like minimum wage for a season.
Yeah, it's great. Like we were talking to Braz when she came in. She was like talking about the envy all other women's sport had for like AFLW to come in their first season.
Yeah.
And because of like the hype of it, like they were selling out crowds and everyone was getting around it. And for like other female athletes who have been kind of grinding away, not even at minimum wage, it was like,
yeah, but like when AFLW came in, I think it also made other codes be like, oh, we got to step up here, which was, again, a really exciting thing in terms of just women's sport in Australia as well. Because, yeah, I guess when you raise the standards that high, everyone does have to lift a little bit. So, they lifted the minimum wage. And I guess when I decided to step back, I was like, oh, that's almost like, I was young then, so like $10,000.
That goes a long way.
That's a lot of money.
That goes a long way.
I was still living at home, but as attractive as that was, I still knew that I didn't really want to be there for the right reasons. And I guess that was why I stepped back. And I just went back and played club soccer with my good mates. It was Prem League back then. It's now NPLW. And that's kind of where I started to like find my feet again, feel good, enjoy playing sport, being back in a team environment. And it wasn't until like the end of that next year when I was training in the gym with Tammy Jacobson, is our S&C again at Freo, but back in the day she was the S&C at Freo then as well. So I was just training with her privately in a gym and I was like, I just want to stay fit for soccer over summer. Like I might try and find like a rugby league club or something because that's sort of my background. I didn't really watch too much footy growing up. And that's when she just floated it. She was like, why don't you just try footy? And I looked at her, I was like, I know nothing about footy, so probably not. But she definitely planted a seed. Let a few weeks go by and I was like, she told me about the rookie position and I just emailed the club and I was like, what's the go with this? Like, how do I go about this? And
well, you emailed Freya.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I like how you thought, I'll go to the top.
No, totally.
I'm not going to go to a waffle.
naive.
Literally. I'm just going to email Freya.
Well, to be honest,
didn't email any Perth Footy League clubs?
Yeah,
I didn't even
straight to the top, eh?
I wasn't even that aware of like waffle at the time either.
Yeah. I'll go to Freo.
Yeah, and then I knew also Kelly Gibson was playing at Freo at the time and she was training out of the gym that I was working at. So I was chatting away to her about like what it was like, sort of, and then she was just like, yeah, like see if I can get you a contact at the club. Because being involved at Perth Glory qualified me for the rookie spot.
Yeah.
The code switch.
It had to be, hardly any experience in football, but playing another sport at an elite level, and that's what got me over the line there. So got in touch and they're like, look, we've got trials coming up in a few weeks. You're like welcome to come down, like you qualify. So I think out of the however many people applied for that, there was I think 30 of us in the first trials there, and then that got cut again to like 8 or 10, I think, and the second trial day was very much more skill-based and a bunch of the AFLW girls were there as well helping out, and I just remember being like, whoa, what have I got myself into here?
So you kicked a footy before?
I kicked a footy at like school, like lunchtime with the boys, like having a kick around the oval.
Are we talking like
we getting the
trials day? Or are we looking at like some mongrel punts or?
Oh, I think I could definitely get the backspin going on it.
There you go. Better than Seabass on a...
Better than Seabass.
But a little bit wobbly on the run. So
fair.
There was a bit of work to be done. There was a bit
Probably
of work to be done.
better than most cross-coders are.
Oh, I don't know. Like I can't even remember back then.
I remember the
javelin
javelin player back in the day. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And she was just like just like a unit.
Yeah.
And then she like went to kick the ball, and it was just like every time like a spiral. And I just didn't know if she was doing it purposely.
Big torpies.
Yeah, I was like, that suits her.
Difficult one to
ripping
master, but
barrels
you've done
straight
it
up.
well.
That's what I'm saying.
When you were talking about the glory, you mentioned a bit around like the pressure and the expectation there. What did that feel like at the time, and how does it compare now to AFLW and the similar sort of feelings there?
Yeah, I think it's definitely one coming from my own personal experience. So, yeah, I guess growing up playing soccer and, you know, you've gone through the state pathways and development pathways, I feel like you put expectations on yourself more so than what other people probably do as well, especially being that young. So I probably went into glory being like, yep, I want to be starting, I want to be playing all the time consistently. And I just found it really difficult to sort of work through those expectations of my own self.
Yeah.
Fast forward to like footy, I was coming in with little to no experience. I knew that I wasn't expected to even debut, but I was up for the challenge. I was there to. I remember thinking that when I got offered the contract and signed on, I was like, all I want to do is earn the respect of the girls here because I'm coming in with no experience. Like any value I can add to this environment is going to be what I try and aim for. And yeah, I guess that difference in I didn't grow up with footy, so a little less expectation on myself then probably helped me just go in, ask all the questions I need to ask, try and soak up as much information. And like looking back on it now, if I went into glory with that same attitude, I probably would have done a whole lot better and handled it a lot better as well.
Some of the names at the glory at the time, I'd imagine some of those names are now like global
Massive.
mega stars. Do you want to name drop some Matilda's stars?
I'll name drop a few. So Kate Gill was there when I was training on.
Yeah.
Colette McCallum, which is one of Australia's greats as well, was there when I was really young. But then when I was actually contracted, it was the likes of Sammy Kerr, Caitlin Ford, Lana Kennedy, Mackenzie Arnold as well. So, you know, massive names now.
Well, they're not up to much now anyway.
Oh, just doing a little bit here and there, hey.
ACL's has got them down too.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Gets the best of you.
Yeah, it gets the best of you.
So in that sense, like invaluable experience to be around those girls and seeing how they go about things.
How do you compare at that? Like, you don't have to be too arrogant, but were you like in the ballpark of like, Sammy Kerr is great, but like I can hold my own here?
Absolutely not. No.
That's surprising.
No, absolutely not. No. Sammy Kerr up here, like the starting 11 girls on another level.
Yeah.
But again, like the experience they had, of course. So again, I was young and I was again very grateful and very happy to just be there and learn from them and try and put my best foot forward. But yeah, nowhere near. I would love to be able to say, oh yeah, I was pretty close.
I held
no,
my own.
No.
Could she play footy?
Yes, absolutely.
She
I
would be
think she
able to,
played.
right?
From memory, she went to. It was
Would have been
Winthrop.
around it with her brother.
I think it was Winthrop High.
Yeah.
And one of my good mates went to that school as well, but yeah, she was a bit of a gun at footy then.
Yeah,
and then
I remember-
Same thing, Crossroads just went down the soccer pathway.
Yeah, I
and-
remember them saying like Daniel Kerr would be like, "Oh, if this was around, my sister would have played this."
Yeah.
And this is like early before she was famous, and
Yeah.
like because I think my dad knew him somehow, and then my dad was telling me this. Oh, like Daniel Kerr's like sister played footy too, because it was when I was playing footy, and then she just turned into Sam Kerr. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Turned into Sam Kerr.
Yeah, I was
She
like,
was
yeah,
always Sam Kerr.
She was always no, but she turned
Sam
into
Kerr.
Like,
All right.
Sam
Yeah.
Kerr.
No,
And
well,
then, like,
she's
you
been
start
down
seeing
at
her.
she's been down at West Coast.
Yeah, she has. Yeah, she has.
For a bit of a kick, and I remember when they first came in, though.
But she's like she's good.
Yeah.
Like it's not like someone picks up and you're like, oh, it's like she's just like hitting people lace out.
Yeah, but
I'm
I feel like also you could put Sammy Kerr in almost any sport,
I like to see her hoop. I would.
like an absolute competitor.
Yeah, it'd be like a little guard.
She would be a little guard. Yeah, that's the only thing with basketball.
Start
It's just
spraying
raw
around.
height that really brings you down.
Yeah. Hey, on cross-coding, like if you didn't watch any footy, if you kind of fast forward to now, you're like obviously the leader at the club. You speak so well about footy. Are these just things that you picked up? You picked up your knowledge of the game from inside, like an elite club. Do you feel like that fast tracked you in a way? You were coming in and you spoke about like the pressure, but you probably also didn't have much of an idea of how to play the game or
anything.
roles or like how did that kind of work?
I think I was, again, lucky with the group that we had at the time when I first came into Freo. I think the game that I debuted was round 1. There was 11 of us that debuted that year. So in a sense, like the knowledge base, yeah, I was a step behind, but in terms of experience at AFLW level, I wasn't too far behind in that sense.
Yeah.
But I think, again, I was just so lucky with the girls that we had who were keen to bring you along for the ride. We had great leaders there, but really also experienced footy players for that time of the league as well. You know, like the likes of Juddy, Hayley Miller, Kiara Bowers, who had all played the game for a long time at a really good level, but there just was no professional league for them. So in that sense, they were great people to be able to learn from on field, and then complement that with great coaches who know their stuff, but also can communicate well with 30 different players. Like, it makes such a difference.
Let's fast track to last season. It felt from the outside like last season was your breakout season. You were best and fairest, but you played literally every position bar ruck on the ground. Did it feel that way for you? Did it feel that way?
I put my hand up for
Why
ruck.
did
I'm
you
not
not
sure
play
why I didn't
ruck?
get given
Surely
it.
you could have done like a couple of little around the ground chop outs.
Well, Kiara Bowers and I were laughing. We were like, surely we can both put our hand up for ruck, given like our height challenges.
shoulders,
Yeah.
On
yeah.
shoulders.
Yeah.
I'll bend down. She can just like put a
Do
knee
it
in
just
my
as
back.
a
Go
spec-
on.
Man in a coat
Yeah.
sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
still wouldn't get as high as Mim, even with
I don't
that.
think we would.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have you seen that girl jump? She's
Mim push
incredible.
you off the ball still.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, no, last season was, a big season. I mean, I got told at the start of the season it was Webby's first year coaching, head coach. And she basically was like, I'm keen to put you small forward, which I was defender my entire life through soccer. Obviously started my career at AFLW as a back as well. And so that was just going to be a completely different mindset shift. Also trying to make sure I don't kick the wrong way if I take a mark as well. Little
bit of a
things,
switch
guys.
up.
Yeah, little things.
You got to get that right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then it was just like, I don't know, I was just happy to be out there with the girls, and whatever that looks like, I was keen to get my hands dirty. And I think that's, in the end, why I got thrown into the midfield as well was, regardless of, I don't know, how you're executing your skills or your understanding of the game, I think if you can bring a competitive hunger, will to win the ball when it's there to be won, that's ultimately why I was thrown into the midfield as well. And again, I was lucky with the girls that were in there who could help me along with the structure stuff and the other things. But yeah, I guess I was just happy. Wherever I got thrown, I was happy to do the job.
How much work behind the scenes went into learning forward craft and like just the instincts of a forward?
Oh, a lot, so much. And we're all still learning as well, right? Like, even if I, wherever I go next year, I'm going to probably feel like I'm starting from square one again, which will be, I think, an exciting opportunity because, I'll pick up things that I might have missed previously.
Yeah.
But no, a lot of work went into just the basics of the role itself. But again, very lucky in the sense that Webby's very clear on what our roles look like on field. And if we go into a game not understanding what our role is, we probably shouldn't be out there because it's black and white at times. Yes, there's room for instinct and footy.
Yeah.
But as long as you know what the basics of your role are, then you bring your own flair, and that's sort of what our coaches ask of us, which is, again, exciting because it's not like this is the player we need you to be. It's like this is the role we need you to do, but we just need you to bring you as well.
We were talking to Driscoll about it as well because we showed her, and you guys aren't obviously allowed to look at the rankings, and she was explaining, like, for us we have such specific roles, as you were talking about, that the media or outside people actually don't know how they're defined in our team.
Totally.
So it could be like someone had like 4 possessions but did exactly what Webby asked of
Probably
them.
got trademark player.
Yeah,
in our
probably got
forwards.
trademark for you guys, and the media and people don't understand. Is that like a big thing that you actually like in the club, that is kind of this insular, like our performance is marked on our performance and how we grade it, not on like, no offense to us, obviously how the West thinks we went.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's everyone's going to have their own perspective of, how you've played or how you should be going or what you should be doing. But ultimately, it is that buy-in from all 32 players on our list in understanding what it is that we're looking for and what's going to make us successful as a team that's going to make us get there at the end of the year. And you look at the challenges our team have had this season in terms of personnel going in and out of the team, and all of our young girls have been able to come in, or less experienced players been able to come in and out of the side and execute their role. It's because of that clear understanding of what it is we need from them in that moment. But it's also, it takes the pressure off of us as players to focus on the stats, the stats that often external media or family, friends even look at. And if you're coming away from stats, you get, again, I think your buy-in's just going to be so much stronger, but also so much more powerful. Because we all know you can have an incredible game, you can shut down your oppo, whatever your role is, whether it's a run with or not. You could have an incredible game, touch footy twice.
Yeah.
But you've played your role for the team.
Yeah.
And ultimately, if your team's seeing success off the back of that, then that's all we're asking, right?
Yeah.
One of the big things when Lisa came in was about her education background. Do you feel like that's a focus for her and is something that she's really good at, is that communication and like the assuredness you get from her?
Yeah, definitely. Webby's always been a fantastic communicator, and she was at Freo my first year. She was the backline coach. So I worked
While
really
she was
closely
playing?
with that must have been the first year she didn't play.
Okay.
I was season 3 I came in. But yeah, just her ability to build really strong relationships with players and understand what it is they need from her as a coach in terms of communication and feedback to then be able to implement it as well. Like, we've all probably been given a message that didn't quite hit the mark and it's not super clear, whereas someone else might get that exact same message and take it and run with it. So I think Webby's very good at being able to, get the communication piece right, but she's also just like an absolute weapon with the footy analysis, footy IQ. Like, she knows the game, she knows our game plan, and she's just like this. She leaves no stone unturned as well. So she's so diligent in the way that she prepares the group. And, when we go out on the park and maybe we don't perform to the level we want to, it's like we actually were given everything we needed. It was then on us as a group.
Something she said a few weeks ago, I think it might have been before the Hawthorn game in a presser, where I think I asked her about something around stoppage structure or, personnel or something in there. And she basically said that she nerds out on centre bounce and that she's just she uses it to stay connected to the game, is this is what's happening here, and everything starts and it's that little chess match in there.
Yeah.
It's kind of incredible that she's just completely just zones in on that and locks in on it. But it sounds like she does that across the board and she's just got a great footy IQ.
Yeah, absolutely she does. She certainly does nerd out on the CBD stuff. She loves it. We're out there on a Thursday, get the mids out
With
there.
the dummies?
Oh, yeah, with the big blow-up dummies. The other weekend for Pride, we brought out this rainbow wig and put a rainbow wig on the dummy just to line things
great.
up, But yeah, she'll get out there with us, get her hands dirty, have those conversations. Again, it's just coming back to wanting to prepare our group as best as possible.
If you think that the Fremantle Dockers Next Generation Academy is only about footy, think again. It's also about giving young people the opportunity to realise there is the possibility to be great on and off the field. It's about helping young players develop and grow, and as the official NGA partner, Woodside is supporting this dream from grassroots to greatness, growing Freo's pool of talent to feed the AFLW and AFL, and always cheering our next generation on. Woodside Energy, supporting local footy.
Fast forward to this year with your knee. What do you remember of the day that you did it?
Oh, no.
Rose is like, don't do that.
I don't want any war flashbacks here, but
It is. It's PTSD.
What do you remember of it? How do you look back on it now? And what do you remember of the first few weeks, kind of post injury?
Yeah, so day I did it, we were sort of pre-season. It was the last drill of
Was it
the training
non-contact
session.
or?
No, it was contact. Yeah, so last drill of the training session, I don't know, I'd gone for a ground ball. It was almost like a 5v3 contest, and then we were trying to get it into the forward. So I went in for a ground ball, just happened to cop a knock from someone else, and my foot got stuck on underneath me. And I've never done a knee before, so I was like...
It's like a classic mechanism.
Ow,
though,
this
right?
really hurts.
Did you? I was talking the other day, because obviously ACLs are so common in women's sports, with a couple of friends, and we were saying it's almost immediately, even if you haven't done a knee before, you feel that and you go, oh, this is what everyone was talking about.
Absolutely.
I know exactly.
Which is
what
so
I've done.
weird, right?
Yeah.
It's the
because it's
weirdest feeling.
something you've never felt. I remember, and I just felt my knee go like this, and I'm like, I'm done.
I think it's also because you've probably I don't know, copped a knock before or done an ankle, or you know what that feels like, and you know what it feels like when it's just a bit of a stinger. You're gonna get it back up from it.
Yeah, you're gonna be fine.
So yeah, I went down. The play kept going because I think Webby thought I just copped a corky or a bump or something.
Just so upsetting for
Get
her.
up.
And I pretty much and I'm very much that sort of player. I'm just get up, because if you're down, something's wrong, right? So Hayley came over to get me, and then one of our trainers came over, and at that point trainer was like, what is it? And I was like, I think I've done my knee. And it's so weird.
Yeah,
I've never done it before. I was like,
Called it
it's my
straight away.
knee. It's my knee.
And the trainers are just there no. You know what I'm saying? They
and
know, and they're
they want to be in a little disbelief as
Yeah,
well,
they
though,
do.
right? Because they don't want to be I'm react.
My trainer came up with a theory, and I think it is true, so this is going to push you guys on, that if a player grabs their knee immediately with two hands, it's an instability thing, which is the mechanism in the ACL. So they're grabbing you either side because their knee's going like this.
Wow.
And we had
Whoa.
5 ACLs in our team.
And everyone did that.
And I was one of the first. So he's told me this theory. And I'm like, every time this girl, like someone would go down 2 hands, next day, ACL torn. And so now I'm clued in too much that someone will just get a little cork and do 2 hands. I'm like, there they go.
Yeah.
The doc, I'll have to call you when someone goes down with a knee injury.
No,
Maybe
guys,
that's a study we need to
Now
conduct.
you're clued in. It's like, it's
I'm
kind of
gonna
like,
lock in on that now.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Did you 2-hand it?
I can't remember, to be honest. Like, there's
That's what I'm saying.
a
I
part
couldn't
of it
remember. And then you just see
remember.
like a photo of me like this. I'm like, oh my.
Well, I was quite instantly like on my 4s without my left knee down. And then I remember saying to Haley, like, just get me inside. And the play continued because I also didn't want to interrupt the training session as you do. I'm like, just get me off. Don't let anyone see this.
Yeah.
So went into the physios and then they were busy with something else. So something else had happened that same training session. Went in there and that's when, I don't know, your mind's racing at a million miles an hour. So you're thinking way too far ahead. Physios are just trying to,
Just do the pull test.
yeah, just do the test, but also just like reassure you a little bit, like regardless of what happens, you will be okay. So yeah, did all the tests. Obviously, they're reluctant to try and confirm anything too soon without a scan. So yeah, I remember Webby ended up driving me home that night. She was like, we were pretty certain it was. Like my knee was so sore, which later found out was because I had a little fracture in there as well.
Well, okay.
So it was a bone stuff too, but yeah, it was so sore. So she drove me home. She was like, let's go get your dinner, mate. What do you want? I was like, Macca's. We're going to get Macca's. That's it. Like, very rarely have it in season. It's usually, post-season sort of antics. But I think at that point, I reckon I subconsciously knew. I was like, just go and get something good and then drop me home. The next day I went for a scan and, yeah, it was kind of all confirmed. Driscoll was actually driving me home from my scan as well when I got the call from the doc. And we just stood.
It's
we just
always
sat
so
there.
immediate
Like,
as well. Like, I legit got out of my scan, and then my physios, I'm walking out with my parents because they just visited America.
yeah, okay.
So poor guys. And then I'm walking out, and he's like, "You've torn it." As I'm walking out, I'm like,
like a passing comment.
"Yeah." And I'm like,
But just by the way.
Hey, have a
I'm
great
like, just
day.
get in
Thanks
the,
for coming
I'm just
in.
getting in the car.
Just letting
my
you
mum's
know.
like, "What?" I said, "Well, we'll just keep walking."
Hey, don't worry about that one.
Yeah,
Just let
it
that
just
one
seems like a
slide.
passing comment.
I think you made a mistake.
How long between injury and op?
4 weeks.
Okay.
Which is quite long
Yeah.
Yeah.
these days, but I had quite a bit of swelling. So I did my ACL, lateral medial meniscus both needed stitching, repairing. I had a fracture in there as well, so a bit of cartilage stuff, which is why it kind of blew up quite a bit. So I spent 3 to 4 weeks trying to get some swelling down, and I also was just trying to finish my uni exams. So I knew I couldn't go for surgery before that because the pain drugs, I wouldn't have been able to do anything. So I was happy to just wait, get my exams done, and then at least that way once I'd had surgery and op, I could just actually relax and recover.
It's interesting hearing about it because we were talking about before is ACLs are like, everyone's becoming like desensitized to it. And I know I saw a lot of people go through ACLs until I did. And you don't, as much as you are sympathetic and you don't understand how much rehab goes into it, how hard it is and the obstacles and stuff like that. And we were just talking I don't think there's enough honesty in that. And so with having you in here and obviously me having a knee, it's actually refreshing to hear people say it's so difficult.
Bit of validation, hey?
Yeah, because it is. And I think in the media, and as an athlete, you get this. It's always oh, yeah, what can you do? Got to rehab it now, on to the next.
Yeah,
Which is
exactly.
true.
It's one way of getting through it though, right? When people ask questions, it's just ticking the boxes. We're all good. Move on.
How's
sort of
rehab
thing.
going? Yeah.
Is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is,
what it
right?
is.
So
but it's...
I know there are different stages, but let's say early stage post-op, what would a week in your rehab look like?
Early stage post-op, I reckon for the first 7 days, I did not move from the couch.
Okay, just off
And
legs.
that was purely because I couldn't move my leg without it being a 10 out of 10 pain unless I was really on top of my pain meds. So very much early days was game ready, keep ice on it, keep it elevated. And yeah, they send you home with exercises, but again, you can't really move, so I wasn't going to start those exercises anytime soon, right? That's a bit far-fetched. But then...
They always want you.
Yeah.
Have you been tensing your quad? I'm like, dude, it's not tensing.
Yeah.
I try 4 times, I'm done.
I'm not doing it. I was lucky that one of my close mates had lucky in the sense of perspective.
Yeah.
One of my close mates was able to tell me a little bit about what to expect, so to prepare me as well for what was to come. Tildy.
Yeah, it was Till.
Yeah, Tills was so good. She gave me a call.
good
She's like, look, mate, I don't want to put you off or anything. Just make sure you've got help for the first 7 days.
They don't tell you how much surgery hurts as well. I was talking to a nurse when I went in for this one, and I'm like, oh, this is much better than my ACL. And she's like, oh, yeah, ACL is like one of the most painful surgeries. I said, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but you don't want to hear that before your ACL
almost
surgery.
Don't. I don't think you do.
No.
Had I have known how painful it was going to be, and don't get me wrong, everyone's different, right? Not every ACL surgery is going to be
I'm not going
terrible like that, but
I'm doing the old no surgery rehab if I do it again.
Conservative. Yeah. We're going conservative next time. Yeah, I reckon we can do it. Come on, quads. Get back there.
Turn it on.
But no, so once through that sort of first 7 to 10 days, was able to get up on feet, and I was on crutches for 6 weeks and in a brace for a little bit longer than that, just because of the need to be non-weight bearing. And I don't know if it was just the pain meds that got me up and about, or just actually want to be back around the team. But I was back at the club a week later, just in and around the program, able to do a little bit of rehab exercises, the real basic stuff, tense your quad 100 times, bit of treatment from the physios, and then from there it slowly starts to get better. But it was there was a few milestones. I remember when I could first sweat again, when you get your stitches out, you can actually go and do some upper body sort of cardio stuff, even just for your mental well-being. It made such a difference being able to move. And then of course the big one, when you lose your crutches, when you lose your brace, and then each sort of week as you're able to do a little bit more, it gets a little bit easier. But certainly a journey. Certainly need your support network around you. Every day is sort of different, and then it was the big milestones that you kind of need to work through, the first game, round one, first game, whether it's win or loss, it still
sucks.
Sucks, doesn't it? Whether it's win and you just FOMO, you just want to be out there with your mates playing footy, or whether it's loss and you're I feel useless now.
Well, you've got a pretty unique perspective on this, I'd say, because you are the captain, and you've got game day roles, which not everyone has. A lot of girls would be watching on from the grandstands. On the captaincy, talk to us about how that process worked. It's obviously a player vote, but do you throw your name into the ring to be voted on, or was that a prospect that was raised with coaches? At what point were the first discussions around, Ange, we think we want you to do this? Yeah, so it was probably less of external, so coaches saying, Ange, we think you want to do this, and more, it's driven by yourself. I think at Freo, it's very much, if you're willing to put your hand up for a position in the leadership group, that's any position in the leadership group. Yeah. You want to be able to own that as a player, and I guess those discussions started pretty early on in pre-season. We had a pre-season camp, and that's where we talked about our group as a team. What it is that we wanted from our leadership group and what was important to us as a group. And from there, that's where players would put their name forward, just to be throw your name in the hat, and did that. And from there, we went into player vote the following week, and then it's purely based off of player votes. I think our full-time staff voted as well, but that was sort of the process of it. Did you have any hesitancy about putting your name in the leadership group, given that outside of away from footy with your knee, you were obviously going through a fair bit? Yeah, there was definitely doubts at times, but also I think anyone who's been in that sort of environment, that team environment, how much goes into your team's performance and team success. And yes, the game day stuff and the on-field stuff is one part of it, but certainly the off-field things during the week and preparing the group is another big part of it. And again, I was happy to help in any way that I could. I made that decision really early on when I did my knee, as it wasn't about me. Yeah. Yes, it sucks for me and it changes how my knee looks, how my season looks. Yeah. But it certainly didn't have to mean anything for the group. Yeah. That's incredibly selfless. We were talking about before, because I was obviously did my knee, very good. And I really struggled to see outside of the sadness of what I'd lost. Even going to practice, you talked about being there supporting the girls. As much as I try to see outside of that, still being in that environment and seeing people, your face. Exactly. Yeah. And or having to show face, and when you get people saying oh, how are you doing, that sympathy? That was something that I really struggled with. Was that something with you that you struggled with and kind of fought through? Or was it always I want to be around footy because I love footy regardless of me playing or not? Yeah, it was hard, don't get me wrong, and it is hard still. Depending on how my week's going or my rehab's going, it's still trying to find that balance between
enough energy for my own stuff as well as enough energy for the group. But certainly it was hard to, at times be able to do that. I think it came back to just wanting the best for our team. Like, honestly, I said it just go early on. I was like, whether I'm out there or not, I will be doing everything I possibly can this season to make sure that we get to finals. And, that's not trying to put too much value on my role in the group because it's a shared load to across everyone. But I think even it can be quite powerful when you see people coming into the group who are dealing with their own stuff and still they show up.
Yeah.
And I think
and
making
it's good
that
to find
decision,
a purpose as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think I would rather be in the position that I'm in, playing the role that I have for the group now, with it being challenging at times, than not have that role at all. Because I think I would just be numb, to be honest. I was talking to Anya about it, who's just done her knee, unfortunately. And, she was checking in the other week and she was like, how are you going? Like, how's your headspace? How are you mentally? And I was like, at that point I was like, I'm pretty stressed. I'm in pain all the time. I'm in pain, which is something you never experienced before this, but it's like, takes its toll.
I think it's like most things in life is like, if you're not in the immediate, 4 weeks post-surgery, people forget that you're in continuous pain.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing is, I'm walking up the stairs and I'm like,
it's just present.
yeah.
Right?
And you're not aware, and you've never been aware of your knees like that in your life. And it's like everything is like you see a set of stairs and you're like, oh,
yep.
today. It's like you never just, you just never, and they're the things that get you.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, I have to go to rehab today. It's like the pain that then you're then continuing with.
Getting up and down off the floor.
Yeah. Or you're waking up and your knee's just already sore and you're like, oh, it's going to be a bad day type of thing.
I would imagine as well, the AFL season's not that long. And the ACL is a 12-month. You're going to have periods in your rehab where you don't have games to be travelling to and people to be talking to about stoppage structures and backline structures and whatnot. It's almost like you got to do that now while you've got it, right?
Definitely. Again, it's trying to make the most of the situation at hand as well. And I said that from the start. The club were incredible. Webby was incredible. She was like, "What do you need? What can we help you with? What do you need? What do you want to do?" And I just said to her, I was like, "Look, I don't want to get to next season and feel like I haven't done, first of all, everything I possibly can for my rehab, but also there's still so many opportunities to be learning the game and developing as a footballer, regardless of being out on the field." So very much in this time while we're at the club, we're around it, we've got games, we've got meetings, we've got these conversations happening. I want to be there and I want to be involved, not only to help the group, but also to help myself continue to develop. But then there will come the time when our season finishes, we all go our separate ways for a little bit of time, and that's when it's probably going to be more important to stay really disciplined with the rehab stuff. But again, it'll bring its own benefits. It'll bring its own challenges. I don't know. As tough as it has been, I'm also I've got the perspective. It's not the worst thing in the world. I think when I did my knee, it hadn't. I think around that time, Aidan O'Driscoll, Emma's brother, had just been medically retired from football, and that's something he's never going to be able to change. And it meant that he was never going to be able to play football again. So I think that itself gave me a bit of perspective. Is hey, I've still got an opportunity to get back here. Which doesn't change my circumstances, but it certainly can change.
Perspective's good.
Yeah.
Perspective's good.
Yeah.
Hey, on the leadership group, was it a difficult conversation with Hayley at first? And how has she and the other leaders, because you've got a big leadership group, how have they gone about supporting you?
Oh, I think with change, anytime there's going to be mixed emotions as well. And we know Hayley's an incredible leader. She's an incredible leader, an incredible player, and she has continued to do that this season, which is why it's been so important to have her within our group doing her thing. She's actually amazing, and she's been there from year one. So, there were mixed emotions at first because with change that happens. But since that moment, the ability of our leadership group, first of all, to now share the load and play into each individual's strength. At the very start, we said, look, we're all very different people, different personalities, different ways of building relationships with our teammates. We need to be able to leverage every single one of us in this group. And I think that's where we've seen, things work really well this year because it's also meant that we've been able to tap into the broader group who have now also, we've got more voices coming into meetings. We've got more people sharing ideas, trying to problem solve, which in turn on field, it's a much more mature looking group now we can problem solve out there. We don't need to wait till breaks happen.
Yep.
So in that sense, yes, this circumstance probably forced us to share that load, more aggressively than probably previously. But I think in the grand scheme, in the context of our season, it's meant really good improvements and growth within our broader group as well.
What does your game day role look like? You've just got back from Sydney. You've travelled to, I think, every game.
Yeah.
What does your day look like? Well, particularly on trips when the group's all staying together. What are your focuses while you're in that environment?
Yeah, so while we're away, I still need to be doing my rehab as well. So I tend to, most game days, I'll go into the club, or if we're away, it'll be the hotel gym, get my rehab done. Had Anya in there over the weekend with me, so we're getting it done together.
With you, yeah.
Got a buddy. Very
yeah,
good.
a little rehab buddy.
Need one.
Yeah. Getting that done. But then, obviously the focus is very much game day. Like, let's go. What are we doing here? What can I be doing to help the group? And a lot of it is just reinforcing everything we've gone throughout the week. Like, once you get to game day, you've done all the prep work, haven't you? And then, at the game, my role on the bench is I'm on the headset. So I'm a bit of a feed through from the coaches through to the players. Webby will chat to me, or assistant coaches will chat and say, hey, just hand the headset over, reinforce these messages. So still very much able to support the group on game day. But again, it's backing the girls in on the field to do the job.
You still doing the rev up?
Oh, occasionally. It depends on the game, depends on the vibe of the group. Again, I'll speak. We do a little huddle before Webby does her final address, and that's just really to bring it back to roll, reinforce a few things from throughout the week. But once we're out there, whoever's captain, they're on. Give the rev up.
You don't strike me as like a tear paint off the wall sort of big spray operator.
Oh, certainly not if I'm not the one out there, to be honest.
It'd be funny. It'd be
a little bit weird. Yeah. I think everyone's capable of it, but it's all about timing and circumstances. But no, again, we've got very different leaders in our leadership group. So Pewee and Anya very composed, cool, calm, collected, level heads. Hayley, big energy, like, let's get this done, showing through actions. Brad's big energy, Drew's big energy. So, like, it's very much been like, hey, if you've got something to say to the group, go and say it. Like, if you're what the group needs right now, or I think you're what the group needs right now to hear from, go and say it.
See, that's where I fell down, is because I was in the rev up every game. Basketball, you play 3 games a week.
Yeah.
I was lost on content. It became the same thing. I said, like, my catchphrase was, they can't live with us, and that's all I had. And everyone's like, all right.
All right, girls, let's break them. Let's go.
Yeah, nothing of value. Nothing of value ever. Yeah.
But to be fair, in that moment, most people aren't listening.
No, they're not.
Some are. Don't get me wrong.
It's an energy thing.
Yeah, it's all about the tone.
It is.
It's like, when you speak to a dog and you can say whatever you want, but if you're saying it positively, they're I could get away with saying anything as long as it's in like a hype up kind of tone.
They're excited.
Everyone's like, oh yeah.
And you're slapping some backs and whatnot.
Yeah. So there's so much. There's a lot of power in obviously that huddle, but I think a lot of it is the energy that you bring to it.
Yeah.
A lot of the time you could say anything and the girls would be like, yeah, let's go. We're all in.
Gets a little too violent, so I'll bring it down.
Yeah.
Hey, come on.
Yeah,
you get pulled aside.
Hey, you've taken it too far today.
Hey, the win over GWS locks in finals. How proud of you of the group, and what does it mean to the footy club to be back playing finals after a couple of seasons out?
Oh, finals footy. There's nothing like it.
It's good, isn't it?
It's so good. It's why you play.
Yeah.
It's why you play, isn't it? And I think it's something that we've owned from the very start of the season. It's always that elephant in the room. Do you talk about it? Do you don't talk about it? But to be in the position that we're in now, we essentially, a couple of weeks back, leadership group got together and we were like, yep, we want to make sure we keep this season on our terms. You never want to get to that point in the season where you're like waiting on other results or, banking on percentage or anything like that. So to be in the top 8 now, obviously we've got a game to go and that's very much the focus, but it's exciting. Finals footy is exciting and I think it means a lot to the club because they invest so much in the program, and I think for us to be able to get into finals footy with Webby as well for the first time is another really exciting stage for us.
You were around in 2020, and I don't know if you're allowed to say it, but I'll say that you were robbed, like you were stiffed.
Hey, we're trying to move on from
this.
No.
It's a disgrace.
I still think about it every day.
Yeah, this is what gets me up in the morning.
Do you feel like, where are the similarities between the group that probably could have won a premiership in 2020? Come on. And this group, and where do you feel like you're building towards something like that?
It's a funny one because I'm going to be honest. I don't remember a lot from that season.
Okay.
Like, there was a lot going on in the world.
There was a bit
There was a lot
happening.
going
The
on
world
in
was
that
in
world.
disarray.
Yeah, but what I can say is it comes, like, not everything needs to be perfect for things to go right. And I think that's probably something that's been highlighted this season is, you know, we've been thrown big challenges, personnel-wise, big challenges from other teams who have really stepped up this season. You know, every game is going to be, a competitive one. And with the length of our season, it only takes a few games to really change whether you can make finals or not. But I think from both teams in those years that we've said, it's more just the mentality and the ability of players to fight through when things get hard. You know, when your back's up against it, not to use another cliche, but it really is. In those moments, there's going to be those moments in every game, and those moments can change the outcome. And I think that's probably what it comes down to is we've got girls in the group this year that as a whole, where, you know, it's the mentality of we're here to do a job. You know, we saw it in the game where we came from behind. It's that fight. It's that resilience to be able to say, hey, let's reset here. We're still in it. And those sort of games, I think, put us in really good stead for finals footy because they're going to be tight games. Not everything's going to go to plan. It's going to be chaos at times. But then it's the ability of the group to stick to process, stick to role, and trust what it is that we're doing with our group.
Internally, where do you land on embracing finals and owning it and keeping a lid on things?
I think there's a balance.
Yeah.
I think we owe it. I think we almost owe it to our fans to own it outwardly because
I love that.
Yeah, I think we as a group, and we've shown throughout the year, we deserve to be there. It's what you play for, and it's not going to happen every year. So again, we want to be able to own it, but also make the most of it and take this opportunity while we've got it. But internally, I think week to week, it looks very similar. So whether we've lost on the weekend or we've won on the weekend, for us and where we're at right now, we're very solid on we're going to anchor back here. You know, we're going to review as we always do. We're going to prepare as we always do, regardless of who the opponent is, whether it's a derby and there's a lot of outside noise or whether it's, you know, a team who's going really well or a team who's maybe not had the season that they've had planned from the start. We try and stay really consistent with our prep, which I think also helps temper expectations and
Can you give us a scoop? Is Hayley playing this week?
Oh, Hayley might be a test. I'm not
Might
sure.
be a test. Classic.
Yeah.
Oh, you journos, man.
Hey, I just thought I'd throw it in there, see if I could jag one. I want to quick fire at you a few teammates who have had excellent years.
Yep.
Let's talk about Mim Strom. She's been pretty incredible.
She's been incredible for a number of years now, hasn't she? You forget how young Mim is as well.
Was she 22?
Yeah, I think you're
She's
testing me
played
now.
50 games.
Yes.
22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
Tall girl.
Very much so. Was thrown
Tall
in.
girl, that's the thing
Tall
about the
girl.
Rocks. Yeah.
Tall girl, can jump, can play footy.
Because that's the thing with AFLW is she's actually just a tall girl.
Yeah.
Like, whereas like even like Georgie, who dabbles in the ruck for Eagles, isn't a tall gal.
No, there are
on like
different
the
types of
scale of
rocks.
things.
Yeah.
Like Mim is like genuinely, like she's like Seabass tall girl type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
She's been good this year.
She's been incredible. One thing from Mim is she's a reliable player. She's consistent, but it's not just like she doesn't just roll in and that happens. It's off the back of her training habits and her ability to make sure that she's prepared for a game. She puts in the work.
I actually remember speaking to Caleb Sarong about playing with Sean Darcy and playing without Sean Darcy this season, and he spoke about just the things that it allows you to do by way of like set plays around the ground, whereas like Luke Jackson's obviously excellent in there, but you know that he's not always going to be like first hands on the ball. What does Mim having 40 plus hitouts a game allow your midfielders to do in there?
Yeah, to work off it. And not just the hitouts. Mim is ultimately the way she gets to work around the ground. She's another midfielder. She's another inside mid.
Even like the down the line kicks to Mim is like, just so important in setting you guys up in the forward line.
Yeah.
Because it is like she is that good of an overhead mark.
She is.
That you're pretty guaranteed that kick's like a safe one to her.
But you watch her this weekend, she'll be there for that long down line kick. She'll also be there playing behind the ball when she needs to be as well. Like her ability to get into the right spots to best support what the team needs is incredible. And then, obviously, not to mention, just to get to every single stoppage as well is outrageous. So, yeah, what Mim does is incredible, and it certainly allows us to build our midfield off her.
The Irish girls, front page of the game today.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
I edited the paper.
Don't look at the paper.
I edited the paper today, so don't talk smack about it. Particularly Ash McCarthy and what she's added to your midfield. How important has that been?
No, incredibly important. And I think just having, again, another player out there with the experience that we call a Smash, that Smash has.
Great nickname.
Yeah, because she smashes through it. It's great. She cracks in.
One of the best.
No, it's incredible to watch her go about the work that she does. She's a ball out of a gate. You know, when the ball's there to be won, she's line a ball. She puts her head over it. She works really hard both ways. So in that sense, it's all you can really ask for from an inside mid. And she's another player who consistently asks questions, wants to learn the game, coming to a new club, wants to get on board the game plan ASAP, to understand her role as well. So, yeah, she's an amazing player, but it's off the work that she does around the club during the week.
I think another couple of the girls that have stood out over the last few weeks are the ones that have come in as the injury replacements. So Gabby Biden-Webster, what has she offered? She's looks like really good running capacity, and now she knows where the goals are too over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great running capacity, but also great hands overhead as well. I think it's also her ability to stay in the game, switched on, engaged, ready for any opportunity, because, you know, like at times it can be pretty stingy in the forward line.
Yeah, of course.
Making the most of those and almost doing the selfless running. So breaking hard regardless of whether she's going to get it gives her more chance of actually getting on the end of one as well. So she's been fantastic. Like as much as you don't want injuries to happen, season-ending injuries, it's been incredible to see the likes of herself and TK come in and just make the most of this opportunity, because I think they've both recognised that it's one that, you know, not every player gets, in terms of, whether it's another chance at a AFLW club or a first chance to break in. As much as you don't want injuries, it's been a fantastic opportunity, and it's been so good the way that they've been able to approach it.
This injury might have felt different because you started the season with her and she was just going so well. But when Anya went down, that was kind of the one where I anyway kind of went, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
TK and Ari Hetherington in the forward line, and the girls that have rolled through there, and the mids as well, because like Hayley and Gabby have spent time down there too. Are you at all surprised, or how pleased are you with the way that they've been able to cover probably your best forward?
Oh, it's been so impressive, and not just even in terms of execution and ability to perform in big moments from Anya, but it's even the leadership component of it. Anya's a big voice for us in our forward line, so that was always going to be something that we're like, wonder how this is going to go. But again, the girls are coming in, taking on that role, taking on that responsibility, understanding what it is they need to do to make our system work, basically, has been fantastic. And Ari's season this so far has been incredible. Like I think I said to her the other week, I was just like, I love your intent, I love your ability to crash. Like, you put yourself in the right position. At times you're outnumbered, you're just trying to bring the ball to ground.
She's extremely athletic.
She's a competitor.
Yeah, I versed her in basketball.
Yeah.
She could jump out of the roof.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I think for her, like, if she can continue to build on that, it's so exciting for her. Sky's the limit. And TK, I mean, for her to come in, debut, again, grab the opportunity with both hands. She's really willing to learn from her teammates as well, and that's all you can ask from a young player. And just to use her weapons. She's incredibly athletic.
She was recruited as a defender, right?
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she played off the back. But again, Webby being the mastermind that she is, she sees things in players and is able to communicate in a way that, everyone gets on board whatever role they're given to play. And so far it's working.
Are you putting a limit on what the club can achieve this year?
Not at all. Not at all.
Championship. Wait, that's not what it's called.
Flags.
Well, come on, Rosie. Yeah,
flag season.
No.
Flag season, my bad.
We're not going to get too far ahead of it, obviously.
Yeah.
We want to go out this weekend against the Doggies at home, put in a really solid performance, and again, continue to just build our story. It's not been perfect, it's not been smooth sailing, but it's been a season so far with a lot of positives. So hopefully we can add a few more positives this weekend.
Thanks for coming in, Ange.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Incredibly selfless what you've done this season for Freo, and I think it appears that it's had a massive impact on the group. So you should be very proud, and thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Dubya podcast. Now chat with Fremantle skipper Ange Stannett. Remember, you can listen and watch this podcast on YouTube Music, and don't forget to follow or subscribe, as we'll be releasing new episodes all throughout the AFL Final Series, which will hopefully involve Fremantle for at least a few weeks. You can also leave us a rating and a review and tell your mates. We'd love to hear from you as well. You can get in touch with us at dubya@wanews.com.au. Cheers.
This podcast is brought to you by Woodside Energy, helping young players develop and grow as the official sponsor of the Fremantle Dockers Next Generation Academy. Woodside Energy, supporting local footy.